Veganuary is a month-long challenge where people will take on a strict vegan diet to see if they will feel better. Other people want to take on a more plant-based diet but don't feel that they can be that strict. I'm often asked if it's safe for a child to be vegan. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, it's Dr. David. So Veganuary is this month-long challenge where people are seeing how they feel, and they will even do office challenges and challenge other people, similar to other challenges that you see online. Now, veganuary.com is their website, and there's all types of resources and menus and recipes and all types of things like that for people to follow. And they don't have to start at the first month. Really, it's just a 31-day challenge, and there's plenty of information that's there. Now, a vegan diet is where there is 100% avoidance of anything that is animal based. So it's not just avoiding eating meats, but it's avoiding eggs and dairy products as well. Now, there are lots of different terms that are thrown around in the vegetarian world, and I want to first talk about that. So, besides veganism, which actually, besides being a vegan, there is also veganism, which is actually more of a lifestyle type of approach where people are also taking a more ethical approach. They're concerned about people doing research on animals or are doing other things dangerous to animals, making leather products and using them, etc. So that's a more full life type of thing. But a vegan is just the eating itself on the foods. Now, being a vegetarian also has different meanings because a vegetarian really means taking on more plants. But there are people who may be a lacto vegetarian where they will allow dairy products. They're not killing an animal, but they're taking products from it. Or an ovo vegetarian, people who eat who will do eggs, for instance, or a pescatarian, people who allow themselves to do fish but not doing poultry or mammals. So there's different approaches that people take, but the one common theme between all of these different types of diets are people are trying to change their diet in order to take a more healthy lifestyle, whether it's in order to just be more healthy in general because they have high cholesterol issues, diabetes issues, etc. And so they're looking for something that they can do that doesn't involve necessarily taking medication. Now, there's really no right way of doing this. In fact, there's another thing which people will call it's a plant-based diet. This is actually what I follow, where most of my meals, I don't have any animal products. But a few meals a week, some people say 85% or more that they're in more of a vegan mode. But will allow maybe myself, I'll allow myself to do poultry or fish 2 or 3 times a week, and that's how I am following it. But again, there's not one right answer there. It's what feels right for a person for whatever that reason is. Now, why people may do it. So, some of the health issues itself. Plant-based foods often increase inflammation. Dairy can do this, meat can do this, processed meats in particular, deli meats, some of those really sulfited types of foods really can bring a lot more inflammation. It's good for cardiovascular because cholesterol only comes from animals. Now, of course, we are animals, we make cholesterol. There is familial hypercholesterolemia where people they just make more cholesterol than they should. But from a dietary perspective, if you're avoiding anything that's animal based, you are not taking any dietary cholesterol in. Now, other people will follow veganism because of the concerns about the environment. Being, animal based products and farming and grazing and all of those types of things, when a person doesn't do that and just eats plant based foods, then there is a reduced amount of greenhouse gas emissions from not that whole corporate, that whole process of making meats and all that goes into it. Now, of course, there's also lower livestock emissions. So we've heard about methane gases, the burpings, etc., of cows, and that contributes to carbon emissions that can impact the environment. And also, plant-based foods do require a lot less water than as well as a lot less work than for animals. So you have to feed the animals, you have to feed the plants that you have to feed to the animals, etc. So from a water conservation perspective, there is a benefit to having a plant-based diet as well. Now, of course, there are some people who look at it from an ethical perspective. They will see that they feel that doing anything to an animal may hurt the animal. Of course, there are people who have issues with animal research and drug trials. Now, it's interesting. Recently, there was a change at the FDA that says it is not essential, not necessary, required for all drugs to be tested on animals. Drug companies are allowed to, but they've taken away that step that if they can do through whether it's computer simulations or other types of technology, that it doesn't have to be animal tested in order to move forward to get an FDA approval for a medication. And there's also the concept of food justice. Plant-based foods are more readily available, especially in underserved populations, third world countries. Plants are easier to grow, they're easier to have. So when it comes to food distribution, societies that focus more on plant-based foods, for instance, look in some of the areas in Asia, like in India, where they're focusing more on rice and focusing on grains and focusing on pulses, lentils, those types of things. It's easier for them from a storage perspective as well as from a distribution perspective as well. And so that is another reason why people may explore that. Now, let's talk more about the importance of doing it right. Now, from a children's perspective, of course, I'm a pediatrician, but I take care of adults too. Of course, children, if they're going to be raised in a healthy way, are not going to be vegan to start off with. Why? Because breast milk, of course, is not a vegan substance. It's a human, therefore animal-based substance. So, of course, everybody should be breastfeeding, and nobody should start off in a vegan way to begin with. Okay. Yes, there are plant-based formulas that are out there, but breast is best. We know that. The antibodies, the special proteins, the other factors, white blood cells, breast is best. That's where it should be found. But once a child has started to eat solid foods, once they have been weaned from the breast. Now, first of all, from a dairy and a milk perspective, there is nothing magical about cow milk. You need water. You need calcium. You need protein. You need vitamin D. Lots of other ways of getting those nutrients, but you have to be mindful on how to do that. Working with a professional such as myself, a nutritionist, somebody who understands this, is really important if you want to make sure that they're not forming any gaps in the nutrition. B vitamins, super important. Making sure that enough B12 and folate is being consumed. Might you need to add a supplement, a multivitamin, in order to handle those types of things? Of course, you need to be on top of that. Now, in addition to protein, there are many proteins from plants do not have all of the amino acids necessary to be considered complete. So any animal-based product will have all of those amino acids. So for instance, why people will maybe have rice and beans together, that will cover all of those amino acids. Now, there are some proteins, quinoa, amaranth, soy, that do have all of those amino acids that are needed for us to grow and to build all of our proteins and enzymes. But you really need to know what you're doing. And if not, you can end up with a nutritional deficiency. Okay? So really, it's something that I do advocate for, for in a lot of different states. Of course, I respect the freedom of anybody to choose to eat however they want to. But of course, people seek my advice when it comes to nutrition overall. And of course, there are people who do eat organic-based animal products, and of course, avoiding fried foods, avoiding highly processed foods, avoiding foods where we can't pronounce every item on the ingredient list. Those are some things that we all should be following, right? But as I said, if a person wants to take on more of a plant-based but not 100% vegan diet, that's their choice, and there's still a really good chance that they will get health benefits from it. Now, some people will just choose to have some meals that are plant-based, but they're saying, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do it every meal, even half the meals. That's what I want to try to do. There are some people who will do meatless Mondays where they will choose one day a week, for instance, to be vegan. So again, my job is to give you as much information as possible so that you can be making the best decisions for yourself. Now, of course, one more call out. If you haven't joined us on subscribe to this channel already, please do so. Please sign up with our other social media platforms and see what we're doing over on TikTok, which is a lot of fun. Have a great day.
If you like what you've seen, see that subscribe button there? Please click it and turn it from red to gray.